Good evening and welcome to the Danvers School Public Safety presentation. We are very thrilled to be able to present this information tonight, and thrilled because school safety is our number one priority in all of our schools, but also very grateful for the collaboration that we have with the Danvers Police Department and also throughout all of our staff members in the district. School safety is number one. Our students and staff have to be safe at all times, and to have the partnership with the Danvers Police Department has just been outstanding. So tonight, as part of the presentation, that will discuss our safety protocols and procedures. These will be more detailed when we get into the schools individually as we work with the staff and students, but we want to provide an overview tonight of our safety protocols and procedures. And I just want to let the public know that we have a great committee, a school safety committee that is multiple stakeholders that involve the police, the administration, teachers, technology, as well as our public works department. And that is important that we meet on a regular basis to talk about items of safety and security for our schools, because that feedback, it's always a constant development and review of our protocols just to ensure that we're up to date and up to speed with any changes to be as safe as possible. So I'd like to turn this over to Chief Lovell. And again, thank you, Chief, for the collaboration, and we're grateful for that.
Thanks, Dan. Happy to introduce School Officer Michael Chase from Essex Tech. He'll be conducting our presentation tonight on school safety.
Perfect. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Bauer. You just met Chief James Lovell, but we also have part of our command staff at the Danvers Police Station is Captain Ashley Sanborn. And with their support, we're fortunate to be in the schools and work with the staff and the students to keep everybody safe, like they said. And here's a breakdown of some of the individuals that work in that division, our Community Policing and School Outreach Division. We're led by Jeff Smith, who's the sergeant in charge of the division. He's got a bunch of years of experience working in the schools. He's the former SRO at Danvers High School. And he's most recently been relieved of his duties as he's moved on to bigger things and taken over the entire division. So he's going to be replaced by Ryan Green, who's a 10-year member of the Danvers Police Station in the Danvers Police Department. But he's going to be bringing a lot of skills to the Danvers High School to fill the big shoes left by Jeff's departure. And Officer Jason Skane has been with the department over 20 years. He's been at Holton Richmond, making a tremendous impact on the students there. And as you can see on the slide provided, we do have other areas that we do cover. So I'm over at Essex Tech full time, but I also help out at St. John's Prep if they're needed of anything. And the breakdown of the elementary schools that the officers cover is provided on that slide. But we're fortunate that we have the opportunity to be here tonight to share some of the things that we do. And when we talk about school safety, we have to understand that this is a really difficult subject. It's a collaborative effort that it takes part with the staff, the students, all the parents. The entire community has to come together to make sure that we keep our kids safe. And this is a scary topic. Fear is a normal emotion when we talk about this stuff, and that's why we're here tonight, just to get it on the table and make sure that we all know what we're doing so we can work together to make the school as safe as possible. And we know, as parents sitting up here in front of you, I have a daughter who came through the Danvers public school systems. I know that when I let her go off to school each and every single day, I'm leaving her in the care and protection of the adults in our schools. So it's important we talk about, it's important we train, and we do everything possible to make sure that we can be safe. So tonight we're going to discuss what we're going to do here as a district and what we're doing across all of our schools across the town, and some of the options that your child might have in an emergency. And also, this stuff is translatable to you as a family at home. Everything that we teach here can be used in any circumstance, and we'll get into that. But the first thing we're going to talk about is the role of a school resource officer. I'm fortunate to land here. I've been in a school resource officer position for 7 years. My job at the school is to promote safety and security across the campus. And like I said earlier, collaboration is something you're going to hear a lot about tonight. It's all about developing relationships and working together to make sure our students and our school staff, our families, and outside agencies can all work together to make sure we're taking care of our kids. Our responsibility as an SRO is to teach, to get in and help in the classroom where need be. At the lower levels, Officer Skane's done a great job with our DARE curriculum and teaching our youngsters about a variety of different topics, from vaping to drug use, all kinds of different things. And he goes into the classroom and does a great job at teaching that at the elementary levels and in the middle school. We do a tremendous amount of community outreach. The chief has really been pushing that since he's taken over at the helm, and making sure that we're out at events and doing everything we can to give back, and we're the face of the community and working with kids and families to provide the best opportunities we can. We're also here to promote a positive school culture by getting involved in events. Or this fall we're hosting a painting project down. We're going to paint pumpkins at the police station and bring kids and families into the community so we can bridge those gaps. We're a liaison. That's what we do at the school. We're there to bridge the gap between the police department and our school communities. And most importantly is we work with the school to develop a comprehensive plan in conjunction with Dan and everybody on that safety team to make sure that our safety protocols are in the right place and we know how to use them in the event of emergency. We're going to go over a couple possible situations of concern that could come up. And anytime we talk about school safety, this is the number one thing. People think about active shooter. It's in the headlines. It's so prominent in today's society, unfortunately, they're not even making headlines each and every time it happens. So as a community, we got to make sure that we have these plans in place in case something like that was happening. Something that we've seen as a trend as recently as this fall across college campuses, especially when schools started back in session, is swatting or bomb threats. These are the fake calls that go in to try to stir emotion and create just chaos on campuses, whether it's at elementary or middle, high school, and now we're seeing, as I said, against college campuses. Everybody from the top down, from the federal government all the way down to state agencies and local, we've done a much better job of training everybody in schools, people that could be answering the phones potentially, and our dispatchers to make sure we do a better job of handling those situations. We could have a medical aid on campus, and some of these things that we're going to talk about and some of the plans that we have, how do we support somebody that was in a medical issue, whether it's a student, we could protect their privacy, or if it's an adult, it could be a visitor to campus or one of the staff members. We want to make sure we take care of everybody. Some of our older students with struggles with drugs and alcohol. Somebody could take something they wasn't supposed to before school, have an adverse reaction. We see some of our high school students are vaping and using THC. We see kids, struggling with those things. We also have these incidents where people come to visit our schools and our campuses. So it could be an issue where we have to manage somebody that's on campus that isn't feeling well or has done something they shouldn't have. We could have an unwanted guest on campus. This could be during or after school. We could see it on a ball field, at a football game, or it could be somebody coming to the office. It could be a parent who's upset and they want to come there to get their grievances. So we're going to make sure that we have plans in place to meet all of these situations. And typical of the fire drills that we run on school campus, if there's a gas leak or a water issue, all these things are possible situations that could arise that we need to deal with. And the last one is leakage. Leakage is a term used in law enforcement and now with schools, especially related to incidents that could result in a mass shooting, or it could be something about self-injurious behavior or somebody that's having some kind of threats towards another person. Typically what we see is these students leave crumbles of information through leakage in different avenues. It could be on their social media page. It could be that they did a writing in English class. It could be something that they left behind. And we can see that time and time again as we do these debriefs. Following these mass shooting incidents, there's always somebody at the end that comes back and says, well, I saw this, or I saw that, or I knew this part, or I knew that part. And the important part that we can do as individuals working in schools and working with the adults and the kids and collaboratively is that we got to make sure we all work together to get that information out, and not one person has to be the keeper of any of that. I think in Danvers, we're fortunate that we run 5 area cars during the course of a day, plus a sergeant, so that's 6 cars on the road. We also have detectives that are in their cruisers during the day, and we have the 3 school resource officers, plus Officer Smith, who's heading us up. So we have a large police presence on the street in and around our areas. This slide will tell you that the average response time, this is nationwide, is 3 to 5 minutes for a critical incident. I can tell you that in Danvers, we're going to be much, much quicker than that. We had the unfortunate incident of a swatting call at St. John's Prep a couple years back, and we had 4 units on that campus within 40 seconds. So I think that we do a great job here. This doesn't take into account some rural areas, and most of these incidents, they don't last more than 5 minutes. So let's talk a little bit about what we could do in terms of what our options in the moment of a crisis or an emergency. So what we put together in the town of Danvers is what we call our enhanced lockdown procedure. This is going to give everybody the individual options to decide what they want to do. So how could you become aware of something going on? What avenue would it take to make sure that you knew that there was an issue? And how would you be alerted? So how would we share information? I want you to share information by any channel possible. I want to make sure that if you can get a 911 call out, you do that. And this goes for any portion of your life, no matter where you are. If you're in the community and you call 911, that dispatcher is going to be asking you for certain information. And the better picture you can paint for that individual on the other end of the phone, they're going to relay that information to officers who are responding, and that's going to help us. You could also make sure that you tell everybody around you the best you can. We want to get that out through voice or phone or text or radio, and provide as much detail as you can, the who, what, where, and when, and give any description you can. If there's a vehicle involved, license plates are a huge help for the police department all the time. I want to take a second to talk about this. This is a single wire through Informacast, and this is the new emergency alert system that the town of Danvers has signed on with this company. And this is an incredible opportunity for us to communicate with everybody as quickly as we can in the event of an emergency. And it could be for any one of those instances. If there was an opportunity that we're going to have to lock down the school, or we want kids to barricade, we can communicate with individuals in our schools in live time, in real time, with updates, to make sure that we can make the best decisions, appropriate decisions in the middle of an emergency. And this single wire is a great way to do that. I'm really happy that the school's brought this into the town, and I think it's going to do a tremendous job of just taking us to that next level to make sure we're safe. When we're talking about emergencies, the biggest thing is evacuate. If we can get out of the area, you can never be a victim of a crime if you're not there. So that's the ultimate goal, is to make sure you're not there. Let's evacuate if we can. So if you're inside, I want you to use a door or window or any exit possible if you decided that there was something going on in campus and you needed to get out. If you were outside, don't come back in the building. Just keep going and don't stop. This is going to help remove as many potential targets as possible. And like it says here, running away matches that natural response to a dangerous intruder or any event. So just trust your biology. Your body's going to tell you to go, so we want you to make sure you go. So evacuating is the best opportunity for us. Shelter in place is another option while we're here. If you're in the building and we found out that there was something going on outside in the community, if there was a concern that somebody out in the community was doing something, we were worried about it, but we didn't need to technically lock the building down. What we would do is we could shelter in place, which means we're going to limit bathroom passes. Students aren't going to go to guidance or go see the school adjustment counselor, but we'll still function like a school in the building per usual. Things will continue to move. Kids will still be in classes, teachers will continue to teach, but we're not going to let visitors in and kids aren't going to be leaving to go out. And we're going to do this until we have more information so we can make the best decisions possible, just in keep in mind everyone's safety, and that's the practical measures we're going to take there. If we do make a determination that somebody is in the building or someone's in your area and you need to lock down and barricade, we're starting the drills this week. We already just went to an elementary school this morning. Our students know what to do, our staff know what to do. The interior doors should already be locked, so if you have a magnet in your doorway, we're going to remove that. We want you to turn the lights off. You're going to draw the shades and ask all the students and the staff to be quiet. If you're going to barricade the door, we want to move the furniture over as best we can to get there. And obviously, each grade is a little bit different. We teach different mechanisms and different skills to the little guys as opposed we would with our high school seniors or juniors. The way that we talk about this in the classrooms is different too. We have a curriculum that's built for our little guys. So our younger elementary school students get taught from their teachers in a variety of different ways. We've had books that were created that were age appropriate for those students, and we use those to teach them the necessary skills to keep themselves safe in an event like this. With our older students, our middle school and high school kids, one of the difficult things that parents struggle with a little bit when I talk to them and teach them about this is we're going to empower each one of those kids to make the decision on their own what they're going to do on their worst day. If your child decides that they want to barricade with the rest of the kids in the classroom, we encourage them to do that. If that student decides that they want to leave the classroom and leave their teacher and evacuate and go into the hallways, that's okay too. We're going to empower each individual to do that. This isn't like a group project where we all have to get along. We're all going to determine what's our best interest. We have 16 and 17-year-old kids who can run and can jump and do the things they need to do in the moment of evacuation to get out, and some kids aren't. We have some students and some staff that are mobility impaired. They have best options to stay and barricade. So this isn't like a cookie cutter one-size-fits-all. This is a fluid situation that provides the individual with the opportunity to make the decision that they want to keep themselves safe in that day. So if you did decide you were going to barricade a door, we want to move as much furniture as we can and get it in front of that doorway to keep that person out. The idea is we want to slow down the intruder. That's the biggest thing. As we can see here from that slide previously, these incidents aren't long lasting. It's not like it was with Columbine where we had to wait for SWAT teams to come. We've picked up a lot of nuances, unfortunately, because there's been so many cases. So police officers and law enforcement across the country are spending thousands and millions of dollars to try to figure out what the best course of action is. So now they're training officers like myself to be a single respondent. I'm not waiting for backup to go in and address a threat and take care of the situation. So we got to make sure that we keep these situations. You just want to, with the barricade, the idea is to keep that person outside the room as long as we can, because these incidents, like I said, they're becoming shorter and shorter. So the layout, what we learned from Parkland, Florida, the layout is very important of each and every room. There's a thing called the hard corner. And this slide shows you that. As you can see, coming from the hallway, that's a doorway there as you look into classroom 7/8, that sectioned area off in the classroom is considered the hard corner. That's the area of the room where an intruder, if they were looking through to cause harm from the hallway, that area of that room is closed off. You wouldn't be able to, that's not visible from that side of the hallway. So in Parkland, the individual that caused a lot of harm there that day, he never actually stepped foot into a classroom. 19 people perished that day, but no one, like I said, he never entered a classroom. So we got to make sure that we talk to students and staff about this so we're familiar with the layout. Every campus, every classroom, every school has its own challenges. We're building big, beautiful schools, and with that comes a lot of glass and some beautiful structures. But so from a law enforcement, safety, and security standpoint, we got to make sure that we track and talk about this with our staff so we can be aware, so we can keep each other safe. And this is the most difficult slide, to be honest with you. This is called counter and distract. This would be as a last resort. We've decided we're going to barricade the space we're in, and for whatever reason, that individual who's coming to cause harm is able to breach that. So what do? So we had situations like Columbine and Virginia Tech, and Sandy Hook, where the research shows us that sitting under desks and hiding is not going to work in our favor. So we're encouraging students and staff to throw items, to distract, to physically overwhelm the aggressor, with the ultimate goal of evacuating. So when they come through, we got to do whatever we need to do to make sure that we're safe and that everybody goes home. A few additional items that we wanted to talk about is making sure that our office doors and our classroom doors and our exterior doors especially are locked. We got to keep the bad people out. We do a great job in Danvers of making sure that the front door, we have an intercom system. We want our security and our frontline security staff and our secretaries, making sure we're engaging with people when they come and ring that buzzer. We want to find out why they're there, get some information about who they are, and then we have them come in and we check them in and check licenses and do the things that we need to do to make sure that everyone's there for the right reasons. And like I said a few minutes ago, this isn't a series of sequential steps. If you have the opportunity to leave and evacuate, you want to do that. If you need to barricade and then eventually things change. Through the single wire information, you find out that that intruder is someplace else on campus. You could break that barricade, leave the classroom, leave the school, and get out. So like I said, it's not sequential. It's not like we have to do one thing first and try this, and if that doesn't work, we go to the next one. These are a bunch of options that we have. And like I shared with you, this process can be used anywhere. So this is for families as well. We just saw what happened in New York at the NFL building. There was people there in a high rise where somebody made their way into that building to cause harm. Individuals, there's pictures online of men and women in their business outfits and in suits, moving furniture in front of the doors to make sure that they use the same skills that we're teaching your students, the same thing they did there to save lives. So you can use this anywhere you want. Make sure that you know that every restaurant has an exterior door through the kitchen because no one's dragging their trash back out through the restaurant. That's just something to know that when you're out, if you ever had to, find yourself in a situation where you had to evacuate quickly, that's just one trick of the trade. So use this everywhere you go. You want to know where your exits are. When you're at the movie theater, at the mall, at Christmas time shopping, or anywhere. We know these incidents of active shooter aren't just in our schools. And actually, percentage-wise, it's very, very, very unlikely that it would happen in one of our buildings. That's not to say we're not going to train and treat this seriously, because we want to know that we're ready if it was ever going to happen here in town. So I think, the preventative measures and what can we do, it's kind of how we've been doing things. The biggest thing is relationships, and that's why I feel as though the school resource officers are so important in the schools. Our number one priority is to make sure that every single person in these schools has a trusted person on their side, a trusted adult that they can come to. Like I said with the leakage, 90% of the stuff that lands on my desk at the school that I work at is because other students are bringing those concerns to me. Whether it's about a student who's just off, they're struggling because their parents are going through a divorce, or they're experiencing self-injurious behavior, or they could be struggling with drugs and alcohol. Most of those things will never get to me if the students in my school don't trust us and bring that information to us. If it's not the SRO, it's somebody else. The teachers who work in our buildings do a great job of building those relationships so their students can come to them with concerns. We also train our students to look for things like staff members that hold the front door every morning. They're not just there to be a doorstop. They're getting an eye on every single kid that comes through. We're checking their baseline to see if that student's wearing the same clothes again today as they did yesterday. Are they not bathing? Are they not doing this? Checking students' lunches, making sure kids are eating, making sure these kids are taken care of. And that's a super important thing that we do every single day when we're in our schools is driving home that these relationships are the only thing that's going to save us. When people find out I work in a school and find out I'm a cop, they ask me how are we going to stop any of these mass shootings. And that's my answer every single time. It's the relationships. It's knowing who these kids are and making sure that we have somebody in their lives so that they can go to and they can get trusted information from. And I tell kids all the time that I'm just a dumb cop who works in a school. If you come to me with something that I can't figure out, I'm going to do everything I can. There's not going to be a stone that's left unturned to figure out. There's a lot of professionals in this world that were built to help us get through anything, and we won't stop until we get the information that we can to make sure that student's safe and taken care of. So here's the information again on the last slide here that shows who your school resource officer might be in the school that your son or daughter attends. Our information's there at any point in time you want to reach out. You can have your student check in with us, or you can send us an email yourself and set up an appointment if you're coming and talk. But it's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I think that this is just another opportunity for the Danvers Police Department in conjunction with the Danvers Public Schools and everybody else to work together to make sure we keep our kids safe. And I think one thing that Dan didn't mention earlier was the threat assessment team that I've witnessed, which has been a huge component to making sure that we're all on the same page district-wide. Any threat that comes in can get teased out from a bunch of staff members who have been trained, and then you meet and have solid plans on how we're going to provide supports for the victim and the aggressor. We want to make sure that student who might have been, posing a threat gets the services they need, whether it's in district, outside service providers, but we can all work in conjunction and make sure that everybody's taken care of and being safe.
And just one more thing, if we can add, the InformaCast is a big addition to communication, and we're at the phase now where it's a multi-process to roll out, and currently the communication will be just at this point of staff members, administration, the police, and other stakeholders, and it's not quite yet pushed out to families and such. That will be coming down the road, but in case of a situation that would need communication, we have that internal as another mechanism, but we also then have our own team that would inform parents and families as best we can. Unfortunately, if there would be a serious situation, our number one thing is providing safety at that point and then communicate out, which I know is tough, but we have to take care of those immediately. In addition, as you mentioned, the district threat assessment team, I appreciate that. A lot of work has gone into that. That's another tool in our toolkit. As you said, the leakage piece where information comes, our front line, our teachers and other staff members, but certainly we always advise families to reach out to the schools if there's something that they hear or it doesn't seem quite right. Please let us know or reach out to the resource officer. We're always in communication. I think that's the number one thing is communication and follow through. And that's why having the relationships are so key, because anyone in our schools, whether it be food service, whether it be custodian, admin assistant, we all play a part in school safety, and we have to in order to keep our students and our staff safe, but also reassure our families that we're doing everything that we can at any juncture of any information that we follow through, because today with so much information out there, it's important that we put the pieces together. So, and I do want to offer up that traditionally we would have this meeting in a forum at the middle school. We made a shift this year to provide this information and get it out to the families. We'll broadcast this out across the district as well as DCAT. But we also will put together a superintendent's coffee, the chief, myself, and any other resource officers available. Just if there's any specific questions or overview regarding our safety procedures and protocols, I'll have those dates out to the public soon so we can get to that. And also want to thank DCAT and students from Miss O'Neill's class that helped put this event together so that we can film this, and appreciate the collaboration there. So I don't know, Chief, if you have anything that you'd like to offer?
Dan, I appreciate our relationship we have with you in the school system. We have great communication with you, the principals at the schools, and truly makes a difference in the community. We appreciate that, and I want to thank Mike for the presentation. Outstanding job as always.
Thanks, Chief.
Mike is great on this. I've heard his presentation, but more importantly, knowing the research that goes into it. This is not just the same presentation. A lot of thought goes into this to provide any updates. And Mike, we're so grateful for your presentation tonight, and grateful for all of our officers in the town of Danvers to keep us safe.
Thank you.